Hi guys, my name is Shannon Tuatokwe, the founder of Storytime, and Storytime is a platform for story writers and story readers. It is a platform where you can share your stories, you can enjoy several stories. It is a platform for you to keep learning your skill as a storyteller. And today we are holding a class, the third of its type, how to write bad stories, avoiding it to become fluid writers. 3.0. This is the third of its kind, but the first one for the year 2025. So, welcome everyone. I welcome you all, and I also want to use this opportunity to introduce our guest of today, our teacher for today. Her name is Mrs. Joyce Samuel. She's also known as Tega Samuel. She's an educator. She's an educator who has more than 25 years of experience in this line. She's been writing poems, she has been writing stories, and I'm one of her fans. I go to her page to read stories anytime, and they are always relatable and just so wonderfully written that it always captivates me. And that is the person we've brought to you today, on this call to share with us from our bank of knowledge. Welcome everyone once again, and let's dive right into the class.
I'll be sharing my screen. I hope we can see. I'm going to need responses. I've started. Okay, Shalom. Shalom is my type of person. Thank you so much, Shalom. Straight away here. Thank you, Muyolua. Thank you so much. Thank you. This is the kind of thing I love. Okay, so we're starting straight away. And once again, it's thank you to Tiwa, the bubbly and interesting Tiwa. She reminds me of myself. Thank you for the opportunity once again. We're looking at how to write bad stories, avoiding it to become a fluid writer. I hope the screen is moving accordingly. If we can't see, just let me know. There are things I might be able to do. Okay, so I want to look at the webinar expectations. What are we looking to accomplish at the end of this webinar? What should we be able to do? We should be able to define fluid writing. And I don't mean just regurgitate definitions. Fluid writing is something we're going to explore fluid writing, and then I expect that at the end of it, we can actually say what fluid writing is in our own words. And the words don't have to be 1,000 words. It could be just 2 words. Define fluid writing. We want to be able to explain key steps to be a fluid writer. What are the steps? Why do we need to take the steps? We're not just listing them. We want to know why. Why must I do this to be a fluid writer? And then, of course, the most important part of it is that as we're listening, we're relating all the sharings to our own personal writing. And at the end of the day, we want to be able to determine, okay, this is my area. This is an area I need to develop. This is an area I need to do better. We will write it. You write it for yourself. There's nothing like writing, typing, whatever. Keep it somewhere. The shortest pencil is longer than the longest memory, so they say. So, content. Well, we just have like four layers with a lot in between. We'll explore fluid writing. We'll lay the foundation for fluid writing, build the structure, and then we'll look at the steps and summarize. Please let me know if you're still with me. I need to know. Can you see me? Can you hear me? On the content slide. And I need to know that you're with me. Okay, thank you, Chidalu, Elma. Thank you so much, Shalom. All right, so we go on now. I want to take a look at this statement very quickly. Proverbs are the palm oil with which words are eaten. Consider, Proverbs are the palm oil with which words are eaten. Now, straight up, I'll just say this is a metaphor. It's a figure of speech. It's figurative language. And I'm asking the question, what makes a bad story? Let me speak for myself. I don't like stories that don't have mental images. No figurative language. Everything is just direct, nothing to compare, nothing to stimulate thoughts, pictures in my mind as I read, nothing to touch my emotions better because I can see. Words are paintbrushes, words are colors, words are emotions, words are a lot of things. And so, if a piece of writing does not have enough of all of those things, for me, I mean, it's a bad story. And then bad is a relative term. It could mean anything to anybody. And of course, there are universal concepts that if they are missing from a story, we can all shake hands together and say, sorry, this is a bad one. So I'd like to hear some comments, like one or two. What makes a bad story for you? And then I'll talk about some of the universal indicators of a bad story. Quickly. Thank God you can see you. Quickly, tell me what's a bad story to you. I've said my own. If there are no pictures, if the words are not painting pictures, if the words are not showing you something to connect with, even verbs can paint pictures. Verbs paint pictures. Figurative language paints pictures, but that's a favorite for me. And that's why I like that statement. Proverbs are the palm oil. Imagine Proverbs being palm oil, with which words are eating. So the words are like yam. This is a traditional setting. Yam and palm oil is a good combo. And this is Chinua Achebe of blessed memory of Things Fall Apart. If you haven't read Things Fall Apart, what are you doing? So talk to me quickly. Any other person want to say something about bad stories? I want an interactive class because I know that all the experiences are not mine alone. And if this is a glitch, I'll just go right on. What makes a bad story? I said one, no pictures. The words paint no pictures. The punctuation is, okay, also it's the same for you. Okay, it's the same for you. Exactly. Where there is no punctuation or poor punctuation. Now, with the way things are sliding these days, less attention is being paid to such things because of the kind of free writing, social media type of writing, just anything goes. Poetic license is used lavishly. However, we must preserve the place of punctuation where there is bad grammar, tenses that are not coming together. And then do not spoil it. The events are just disconnected. They are all over the place. Okay, if I'm not flowing with the narration, then it's a bad story for me. Yes, please, I totally agree, OC. So if the events are disconnected, now this is a universal thing. You write a story, the events, we can't connect. We can't, at the beginning, you're telling us about Brother Marcos. In the middle, you can't find him anymore. And it's not as if you demarcated it. You're now talking about Brother Stevie. And then you're giving us 1,000 details about Stevie. And we're wondering, where did Marcos go? And in the beginning, Marcos was a carpenter. In the middle, he's a and you haven't explained why. And at the end, he's a musician. Hello. We're wondering. And we're saying this is a bad story. It's a universal bad story. For me, it's when the story is too straightforward. Wow. When you know, if the story is too straightforward, I get your drift though. And maybe that is why I like the Sherlock Holmes series. I like the detective genre. I like, what's his name? The guy that wrote Sherlock Holmes, star author Conan Doyle. Now, those stories are not straightforward. So I get your drift. But you see, it's not a universal thing if the story is not straightforward. So thanks for that. That's a personal choice. Okay? So a bad story could be anything to anybody, but the universal thing is that connection. The events have to be connected, and it doesn't have to be beginning, middle, end. It doesn't have to be that order, but just connect the threads. Add a few words here and there that will just sync us. Okay, that's what we're talking about in the body of the webinar. So that is what makes a bad story: bad grammar, bad punctuation, disconnections in events, lack of proper profiling of the characters. We don't say enough about the characters for the readers to connect, have empathy, understand, flow with them. You can bring people to tears with your story because of the way you describe the character, all the characters. So these are essentially what makes a bad story: lack of connection, poor punctuation, and all of that. And then all the jara that we have said. It's too straightforward. If the plot is so predictable, I must agree with Moyi that it's actually boring. Okay. And there's no flow. Sorry. I'm with Shalom and Lucy there. You lose me. So let's just go on. We want to explore fluid writing. Fluid. The word itself should remind us of water. The fluidity of water, it flows. That's just it. It flows. We want to consider some definitions. Please you don't need to memorize these definitions. Just look at the common factor you get. And then you come up with your own idea. It will still be some of the same words spoken, but your personal, what you have gained from what we're saying. And so I'm going to the first one. I hope you're with me. My cursor is right there, blinking, and this first one says that fluid writing has smooth connections between sentences, paragraphs, or ideas, making the text easy to follow without sudden shifts. We actually want to carry the reader along. And I cannot even, in fact, punctuation is one of the things I want to rest there. I might pitch my tent there. It's a very important part of writing because as writers, we have this challenge of showing everything that speaking does. I'm speaking now, I can inflect my voice, I can shout, I can go up, I can go low, I can show emotion in the way inflection. In writing, it's difficult because everything is black and white. So if you're not using punctuation, if you're not connecting your thoughts properly, they remain your thoughts. The reader is not carried along, and at the end, the reader is confused. That doesn't make an intelligent writer. Oh, when people say, "Oh, that person's writing there," if you read it, very confusing. At the end, you don't know what he's saying. Sorry, that's not a compliment as far as I'm concerned. Second, not a definition, just a perspective, is that writing fluidity creates a natural flow of ideas, connecting thoughts and guiding the reader effortlessly through the narrative. The ideas flow, even if you're combining all sorts of things. At the end of the day, you want to see a thread. There must be a thread joining everything, and you must indicate it through this first part. Smooth sentences, punctuation, short. Number 3, and this is from Maya Angelou, the famous American. I know her more for poetry, actually. When words flow effortlessly, they become the music that carries the reader's mind. She has metaphorically described the fluidity of writing, the fluidity of words. Words are liquid. If you want to use solid words, and you want your words to be like concrete, they move nowhere. You have written 10 pages, but your words are just concrete. No flow. You have cemented us into your cage. We don't know where you're going. So words must flow. And in this case, Maya is saying that they are like music. They have rhythm. We can vibe to words. Please let me know if you're with me. I just need 1, 2, 3 comments to say, well, listening, I can hear you. I'll just pause for that before I go on. It's so important. Thank you. Thank you, Muyi. Thank you, Shannon. Tiwa. I'm supposed to call you Shannon. Tiwa. Thank you, Chidabu. All of you use your surname, I think. Well, listening. Okay, good. Good, Mikey. Good. And so let's take a few more definitions. I'm going to, and I hope you can see my cursor. Where is my cursor? Even I can see. Okay, there it is. Good writing is fluid. This is from an unknown person. Thank you, Moyi. That's comforting to know. Thank you. Good writing is fluid, like a river flowing naturally from one idea to the next. And the next one says, writing fluidity, a writer's fluidity, listen to this one, reflects their mastery of language and their respect for the reader's journey. Whatever language you want to use to write, be it Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo, the English language, please have mastery. Don't mind those that say, after all, English is not our language. It's not our language, but that's what you're communicating with. Please have mastery of it. There's no excuse for wacky vocabulary or misplaced consistently misplaced vocabulary. We all make the mistake sometimes, or maybe using the wrong verb or something. But you want to write, you want to be a writer that can do it, whether there is AI or not. At least you can put something down that we can connect, you can relate with. You have that mastery of language, your vocabulary. You need it to improve. You need to improve it. And then you're respecting the reader's journey. Please, you're giving them good spelling. This is my interpretation. It's connected to the first definition. Please, punctuation, good spelling, all of that. Go into that respect that you have for the reader's journey, because we don't want things clashing in our brains. Homonyms, homophones, misplaced all over the place. And we don't know whether you're saying they are or there or there. So mastery is very important. And lastly, for this purpose, fluidity is also about blending genre conventions within one text for artistic purposes. I see that in a certain writer I saw on the platform, Praise Abraham. In fact, a number of you do that. And there was also the one by Dope, what's his name again? There was also the one that for Prosper Roads, but I see that a lot anyway on the platform. I see you making an attempt to blend genre conventions, but really be a bit traditional. When I'm thinking about genres, I'm also looking at prose, poetry, and drama, which is the play script. I was hoping to come across at least one play script. I haven't so far. I'm still reading. I'm enjoying myself on the platform of Storytime. You want to blend a little bit of the dramatic conventions. You know, there are no chapters in drama, typically. There are acts and scenes, S-E-E-N-E-S. There are acts, there are scenes, and then there are stage directions for the characters. And then the names are to the left, there's a colon, and then what the dialogue is in front. Those are conventions. And then there are the conventions of different types of genres. There's romance, there's science fiction, thriller, adventure, crime. You might want to combine all of this into a particular text. Please do it with practice. Practice very well before you eventually post. Quick questions. You might need to answer these to yourself. What words did the descriptions of fluidity have in common? My in is missing. No, you see the break of fluidity between have and common. Okay. If it persists, there will be wahala. All right, what other words struck you in all those definitions? And then write your own description of fluid writing. Or you might want to drop a few thoughts before we go on. What are the words that struck you? Just mention maybe one or two words that struck you about fluidity. Are we saying the writing is like water? And I did say that words paint pictures. Words are not fluid, then they are solid. They are like cement. They take us nowhere in the journey. You're not taking us on a journey. You have left us stuck and stranded in one spot, in the spot of your concrete blocks where your words have not helped us to connect. Flow, learn, emphasis on the reader. Thank you, flow. Thank you, flow. Flow of what actually? Flow of is at the sentence is just going on and on and on. Flow, thank you. Everybody's catching flow. For me, it is connections, connectivity. For me, it is also about grammar, punctuation, spelling, vocabulary. Flow. Okay. Emphasis on the reader. I like that part of it because you know that in as much as, yeah, sometimes we write for ourselves. I essentially do that a lot. I do what makes me what I really like. Mastery of words. Thank you. Blend. When you have mastery of words, it helps your fluidity because you can easily connect things and touch the reader. Thank you very much. Let's just go on. We're still exploring fluid writing, and I just want to bring an example to our notice. I picked this off the platform. I want to make this relatable. It is written by Anonymous. The title is Sweet Pains. It's a very, indeed, painful story. It's our society of today, actually. A lot of this is going on. And I have a feeling this is a true story, but that's not where we're going. I just want us to look at this is copy and paste. I just copied and pasted. And I want to read it to you. This is the original. Amanda didn't grow up with her mother. She didn't know how to deal with girl stuff because she was the only girl in the midst of boys. She becomes sadder whenever her friends talk about their relationship with their mother, and she doesn't even how her mother looks like. All she grew up knowing is that her mom is alive somewhere, and she didn't really know what happened between her parents, even though she learned that they were good lovers in their time. Thank God for that comma. So what could have gone wrong? Question mark, full stop. This is not to, this is not to pull down this piece of writing. But here's the thing: if you don't have the courage to let your work be analyzed, there isn't much progress you can make. I've said it already that this is a compelling story. But sometimes the power of the story is lost because the words are not well crafted. And so I went to chat GPT first. I gave it a prompt. After the prompt, it gave me 2-3 paragraphs to restructure just that one paragraph. And I said, no, give me just one paragraph. And here is the edited version by AI of that particular paragraph. It says, Amanda grew up without her mother and struggled with girl stuff, being the only girl among boys. She felt a deep sadness whenever her friends shared stories about their mothers, as she didn't even know what her own mother looked like. All she knew was that her mother was alive somewhere, though the reasons for her parents' separation remained a mystery, despite their once being deeply in love. Now, this is good. It's good. But for me, I still can't feel, because I know the story. Because I read the rest of it. Chat did not. So it's just giving a basically good. It's a huge improvement from the first one we just read. But we should be careful with this editing, because at the end of the day, what if you're called to come and talk about your story? From the way you speak, you can tell that you're not the one who wrote that thing we're reading on paper. So we should be careful about over editing stuff. So anyway, I decided to do this for Amanda. The only girl among boys, Amanda didn't know how to deal with girly stuff. I kind of brought down the language for it to be informal. She hadn't grown up with her mother, didn't know what she looked like, or even anything else about her, except that she was alive somewhere. Now take note of my verbs. It tore her apart to hear her friends rave about their own mothers. Notice the words talk and rave. They are escalations of emotions. When you say something is tearing apart, it creates a picture of pain. Okay, it's a bit better than it saddens her, you know. And then when her friends are talking about the relationships, you know, that's like, oh, well, we talk about your mom and so on, but what if you're saying really interesting things that will make me miss having a mother? Ah, my mother did this for me. Hey, my mother did that for me. Oh, my mom is the best. That is raving. Okay. But what if you say, okay, it saddens, well, maybe what the person is talking about is how the mom always beats her with pancake. Maybe she appreciates that kind of thing, and you don't. That's not likely to sadden you. But then we use words that will evoke pictures in our minds that will make us connect to the character. So the questions at the end: where was our own mother? What caused her parents' separation, despite the loving relationship she heard they once had? Now that prepares us to enter the story. Our openings must be powerful. Our openings must generate some kind of interest. Okay, what's going to come next? Sweet Pains is a touching story. I'd say you should read it. I'd say you should read it. It's a very touching story. And I pray this person has healed. But then take note of what we have said about the arrangements, the punctuation, and all of that, and the fact that you can get AI to actually do some editing for you, and try not to make it too polished or to don't make it beyond what you can handle if you had to talk about the story yourself. So everybody knows, anyone who is observant these days knows when AI has written something. It's full of overused and repetitive uh, adjectives. Okay, Doc, so let's go on to laying the foundation. Can I have some reactions about that? Can I have some reactions about the analysis on that story? Do you get it? Do you know what I mean? Did I make sense about what needed to be changed there? I hope you're relating it to something that you know. I hope it's coming across as, okay, thank you, Moi. Moi has scored me 100. That's enough for me. So let's lay the foundation. Now, this foundation is inescapable. There's no running away from it. There's nothing like, you know, I know it all very well now. I don't need to pay attention to these things. I'm not perfect. Well, laying the foundation, now you can see the different genres. I hope it's showing on your device, gaining so much value. Oh, praise. I'm a fan of praise. Is that the same praise? Praise is our girl. When laying the foundation, now you can see the different genres: horror, adventure, history, thriller, science fiction, fantasy, name it. There are so many out there. And so we want to take a look at three major things to build our foundation. Number one, purpose. Why am I writing? Please, it's very important. It's important. It's so important to look. Why am I putting pen to paper? Why am I even typing? Why am I bugging myself? Is it just that, okay, everybody's writing now? Well, I want to start a TikTok page. I'll just show my showcase. You know the word showcase? Honestly, it's such a tired word. Why am I writing? Is it for a competition? Is it for pleasure? I write for pleasure. I write a lot for my pleasure, actually, and I'm happy that some people connect with it. Tranquility. The writer initially told what Amanda was going through. When you polished it, you showed us added imagery. Okay, good. So yeah, that's absolutely okay. Prosper just joined the group. All right, thank you. So what am I writing? Am I writing for pleasure? What do I want to pass across? Am I writing for a competition? Because that means I need to be careful about the requirements. What do they want me to do? Is it a short story? Is it a long story? The short story is about 1,000 words and above, 1,000 to 10,000 thereabouts. Or is it a flash fiction, flash story? It's short, 500 words and below. Apparently, my own stories don't even have any definition. My stories are less than 1,000 words and more than 500 words. But anyway, that is just by the way. Who am I writing for? Now, it is so important that you know your audience. Have it at the back of your mind that, okay, these are the people I want to reach. Because that will now tell you what language you're going to use. Are you going to be chatty? Are you going to be formal? Formal language is so boring, actually. Seldom ever do I use formal, not even on LinkedIn. Because formal languages, when you know the conventions, you're so restricted. You can't even use abbreviations. You can't. Everything has to be full. I cannot, I do not. That's formal language. You can't use slang of any kind. Ah, not for me, not for me. I have a mixture of, you won't see totally formal language. You won't see good vocabulary, but not totally formal language. So who is my audience? Somebody's microphone. Please, can you mute? Could that be Prosper?
What is going on?
Anyway, who am I writing for? Are they campus students? Are they older people? Are they teenagers? Gen Z? Who do I want to reach with this piece of writing? Is it universal? Could anyone learn something from my stories? Know your audience so that you know the type of language they'll appreciate. You're writing to Niger people, social media lingo. Go and learn it. Your dodo de boom, turn up. Pack one side. And I learned one recently. It was a bad incident, a bad experience for someone. And someone just commented, make God no bad made this kind of hairstyle, I beg. Ah, the thing just struck me. May God no bad made this kind of hairstyle. I said, wow, what an amazing way to express the fact that it was a prayer. May I never experience this sort of thing. But look at the picture he created. May God no bad made this kind of hairstyle. The comments under that comment alone, you will know that there are some literary minded people there. Sometimes I go to those comments just to learn lingo. Who am I speaking to? And finally, for laying the foundation, genre. The word is genre. What type of story is it? You need to make up your mind from the beginning because that thread must flow through. That thread must be seen. Is it fiction? Is it non-fiction? Is it adventure? Is it a thriller? It will guide the kind of sentences you use. Is it romance? It has to be romantic. So you can't just put us in one spot with concrete words, no fluidity, no registers, particular vocabulary that goes with that convention. Horror, fantasy. And you're not telling us about spaceships or unicorns or whatever. You might want to do a folk tale with fantasy combination. I liked that. I read a story titled "The Hook" by one Aime. Is it Aime Joseph? It was brilliant. It was brilliant. So laying the foundation, PAG, purpose, audience, genre. All these things are not in your head. You're penning them down. You don't, even if you don't have a notebook, and if not, why not, by the way? I'm surrounded by notebooks. In fact, sometimes I'm confused. Wait, what? Which one is which? I think I need to label them. Because as thoughts come, I jot them down. And then I have my Google Notes Keep, which is my Google app for taking down notes. I take down the notes and I can see it on all my devices. because I have Google Keep Notes. Or is it Google Notes Keep? Google Keep Notes. Okay, so you can have an app on your phone where you can take down notes. Anywhere you are at, walking on the streets, wherever, if the idea comes, jot it down. Lay your foundation. Write your audience. Know your genre. Find out the conventions. What's the kind of vocabulary I need? What kind of lingo? So your purpose, audience, genre, I call it PAG. PAG, acronym PAG. I don't know that scratching noise. I don't know if it's coming from me or somebody's microphone. Please, you're scratching my ears. All right, so what is PAG? Why is it important in story writing? For the sake of time, I might not be able to take answers, but please, you can just write answers as we go on. I might go back to read. We just said it now. PAG is purpose, audience, genre. It's a foundation, a solid one we need to build before we start writing. Now, why is it important? If we don't know our PAG, then our story is going to be all over the place. And there'll be no unifying thread. There'll be no fluidity in that bit of writing. Now we want to build the structure. And I might go a bit quickly here. Please pay attention. We want to build a structure on top of our PAG. Now I know my purpose. Now I know my audience. I've chosen my genre carefully. Maybe it's something I'm familiar with. I can flow in that genre and I want to use it. So, next thing I'm considering, building on the structure, is my theme. What is my message? What do I want readers to learn? We actually want to pass across a message, playing through the lives of our characters. Many times, writers project their own ideas through the experiences of characters. They are passing a message across. Now, let's say, for instance, the topic, very hot topic for young people, relationships. That's a topic. A theme is not one word. You can't say my theme is relationships. Yeah, well, that's your topic. What is the thing you want to communicate about relationships? Your theme could be lack of communication is toxic. I saw that in the Al when she lost her love. That's story by Shukura. Beautiful story, just needs a bit more, intensity, Now that character was really unbelievable. But I can relate because I'm a good communicator, but I can be coded. Coded. You'll have to code that. I'm coded somehow. So your theme is the message behind the topic. You need to know, what's my topic? What do I actually want to talk about? And then what about what I'm talking about do I want to talk about? I want to talk about friendship. What is my message about friendship? Loyalty is important in friendship. Do I want to talk about loyalty in friendships? Do I want to? You can explore anything, but I hope the message is clear. Pay attention to your theme. What is the topic? What is the message behind the topic? 2, where is the setting? Where do the events happen? You need to pen this down. You need to do research. If it's going to be a longer story, you need to find out about things about that particular location, even if it is fiction. Reality fiction, fictional, what do they call those? Fiction. That is grounded fiction, that is grounded in reality, like Clash of Realms by Praise. That story, I consider it a masterpiece. Although I have 1 or 2 things to say about it as well. We all do. Even my writing will always have something one could take away or whatever. So, where do the events happen? You need to find out about that location. Will my audience find the location relatable? You want to talk to teenagers, and all you're talking about is in an office about an executive director who is something something. They will disconnect. How do you want to pass across your thing through your setting? Everything must blend. That's the fluidity. Who are the people? Very important. How can I manage them? How many do I really need to pass across my theme? You do not need 1,000 characters to pass across a message. In fact, the more characters there are, the more ingenuity you will need to pull all the threads together. If the characters are too many, you're going to have flat characters we can't relate with because we know nothing about them. They were just mentioned. Waka pass. They are the waka passes in our play script. Not really a lot. But why bug a 1,000-word story with 15 characters who must say something by the way, and then who we just learn about? Somewhere in the middle of the story just comes in a rush. And we're wondering, oh wow, let me just read it because I like this person. So think about the characters. Know how you will profile them. Profiling of characters is another topic entirely. What is it you want to pass across about this person that right from the beginning we are connecting with the theme? Lack of communication. Straight away, I think Shukura did that and we knew it about this person. And then you're throughout that theme weaves into your story. Cast your characters properly. We'll use that in play script. And for this one, we're going to say profile them properly when you're talking. It's still the same profiling. Okay, are we together? Please, I'd like some responses. Okay, I can see some. Okay, I can see some. The last response. Since Prosper joined, nobody has said anything. Please let me know. Thank you, Shalom. Ooh, I love people like Shalom. I know everybody would like to talk. I know it's not tranquility. Thank you. I know it's not easy for everyone to be able to send messages, so it's fine. But I need to just appreciate those who are able to do so and are doing so. Some people can, but might not want to. Yes, thank you, OC. All right, so building the structure is all about planning. Planning. A story without a plan, you will know. And this is something some of my younger learners, they get impatient with me. Mrs. Samuel, must I plan? In fact, you're writing an exam, you have to write a story. I will give you a little extra time. You must write your plan before you start your story. You can't just write one thing for me. Then I will not start cracking my brain when I'm marking. Hello, write your plan. It's part of the marks. Let me see whether your story follows the plan. And then it also, of course, it helps. If you plan, it looks counterintuitive actually. You're planning and it's like structure. Isn't that a block? No. It's actually a flow. It helps you to flow when you plan. I'll talk a bit about that later. Now, the 3 more aspects of planning, the plot. Now, this is very important. Are the events linked in a way that makes sense to the reader? The events must connect with the theme. At no point, no matter what you're bringing, no matter the side activities, the side happenings, every single happening, every single occurrence in the story must be bringing our thoughts back to your message. Lack of communication is toxic. Sorry, I'm just following the example I used. So every single thing happening must bring us to that point. And this person has a best friend to whom she never even shared. Man, that's codedness on the high level. I'm still talking about the eye on which she lost her love. Then we need to decide what problem needs to be solved. Conflict is a major, in fact, conflict, we can't say, we don't want to diminish any, but conflict is a page turner. Conflict is what makes anyone wants to keep flipping and saying, oh my goodness, I need to know what happened, I need to know what happened. And the opening part of the story is the best part to hook your reader. You don't want jagbere words. pardon me, lame, feeble words. That will just make us okay. Let me just be reading. As you're reading, you're already in snooze mode, because the words don't capture you. I liked Wildfire, the way it started. Precious Wildfire. I mean, it's a very gargantuous, beginning, but hmm, I kind of dropped somewhere along the way. Okay, but I think Wildfire must have been praises, maybe an early story writing venture or something, because from all the other stories she wrote afterwards, wow, I was blown away and I said, "Oh, I have to come and say Ranka Daily to this person." All right, finally, there's resolution. How will I solve the problem? I've created a problem. The story is tied together by the events, the experiences of the characters. It's their experiences that show the theme, the message of the story. And inside of this message, there has to be conflict, a challenge that the writer needs to go through to either overcome or fail at or die, live, win, lose. It's all about life. It doesn't have to end happily for it to be a good story. It just needs to be resolved. It can even be a mystery. It might end with a cliffhanger, mysterious. We don't really know the answers. But please, please, don't don't bore us, don't crash us with any. And suddenly he woke up and it was all a dream. Eh? You must be joking. After taking us through a range of emotions, we are connected to the character. We are like waiting, oh, what is going to happen? How will it be resolved? And then you tell us it was a dream? No, sir, no, ma. That is lazy. That is lazy. Even with small children, even with the younger writers, it is discouraged. Resolve your conflict or find a mature way of ending it. It's not a fable. That part of respecting your reader's journey. Yeah, don't let it, except you make it known from the beginning that it's a, well, it's in poetry, I know this, but you can make it obvious that this is a nonsensical story. That's not an insult, it's a type of story. It's actually a type of poetry, nonsense poems. You know from the beginning that it's a nonsense poem, so don't expect that much. But please aim to resolve the conflict you started. And this is why I like Arthur Conan Doyle and Sherlock Holmes mysteries, those stories. They are brilliant. Please, they are masterpieces. You will develop your inferential thinking skills, deductive reasoning. In fact, I'm a better person for following the thought patterns of Sherlock Holmes. People wonder how I decode them. They don't know that I'm just employing some of the things I learned from the conflict resolution of those short stories. Resolve your story. It all has to do with planning. And it's your theme, your setting, your characters, your plot, your conflict, your resolution. Planning. Planning ensures fluidity. We can't take all these questions because of the lag in responses to questions. It ensures fluidity because this is the only way you can connect your events. It's on paper, you can see. And then some other processes you can ensure. Okay. So what role does conflict play in a narrative? The conflict is what makes the story a page turner, is what makes anyone wants to scroll down or flip and see what happens next. It's what makes a riveting story, an engaging story. It's the conflict. There's a problem to solve. And it's the dilemma of the character that makes us want to see how they solve the problem. Because somewhere along the line, we're connected to this person through their challenges, their woes, their tears, their travails, their victories, whatever they're going through, their grief. We connect so deeply. I do a lot. So without that conflict, there's no reason. for anyone to keep reading. And then not just conflict, it has that conflict has to be built up. It must come to a climax. You must steadily take us gradually on a climb where we are like, wow, what's going to happen next? Okay, so please take notes. Now, I picked 5 steps. Mechanics, you can see over there because it's something I want to emphasize. 5 steps to being a fluid writer. I will not, I'm just going to rest on certain points. The first one is read stories regularly. Learn how to write from the people you respect. If there's an author whose writing style you admire, who has a writing style you admire, keep reading stories from that person. That way you can imbibe the style. Notice the word I said, imbibe. Okay, actually, once in a while we do copy words. We copy expressions. But don't copy so much that you lose yourself. Don't copy so much that if we hear you talking, we can't connect you with what you wrote. You get. But please, by all means, imbibe writing styles, imbibe vocabulary. I saw my vocabulary. I saw whisper shouted in wildfire. Hey, I said, whisper shout. And then I saw lookathon in the manual something, manual effect or so. Lookathon, word coinage. Get these things from the writers that you respect. And make sure, please, these are people who follow writing conventions. You can punctuate, connected writing. They have powerful usage of their verbs and all of that. Please read proper writing. No matter what society is becoming, where just anything goes, and there really is a lot of slang, maintain your space of knowing the proper thing to do. English language is English language. Hey, it's not our language. True, but if that's what you're communicating with, you need to learn it. I don't find it funny when people don't speak my language well. You're speaking my language and then you're spoiling some of the words. You're saying it. I don't like it. Learn your language of expression very well. Learn from authors who communicate in your language of expression very well. So you learn to write by reading. 2, practice writing. Practice often. In fact, sometimes just do free writing. Don't even pay attention to punctuation until you're done. Just write as the ideas are coming into your heart. I also have a voice recorder on my phone. Sometimes I don't have the opportunity to write. I record. As the idea is coming, I'll just speak into my phone and keep it somewhere. When I'm ready, one day I'll revisit. I'll record, label it, and then go back to it later. As a writer, you need to have something to write, short ideas, long ideas, whichever way it goes, write it down. And the third one is processing. You know the process of writing. We plan, we draft, we revise, we edit. Before that last one there is publishing. Plan, draft, revise, edit, publish. The planning is what we've talked about. That draft is in that writing part we just talked about. Pour down your thoughts initially. It's a draft. Just pour down your thoughts. Then you need to revise. This is so important. You see some stories, you know that this person did not revise. Person just wrote it. In short, as they hot, as they come, the person just dropped it. You know, straight from the heart, just like that. But sorry, you can't create you don't get a second chance to create a first impression. I always like that saying. You don't get a second chance to create a first impression. Yes, you will write many more stories. But in case you just never know, this might just be it. This story that you're writing. Please calm down and write it well. And yes, there will always be revisions. No story is perfect. All my stories that I've posted out there is no way I look at them and I wonder, why did I write this one like this? You know, we will always have something to say, but please make sure that at least the most basic of communication, the most basic of punctuation and whatever, spelling, you know, make sure that at least it's there. And sometimes, no matter how we look and look and look, somehow at the end of the day, there might be one thing missing, it's fine. But at least we'll see that you made an attempt to revise your draft. Then after revising your draft, you've made an attempt to edit your draft. We have Grammarly now. There are so many things that AI can help you do now. If you have Grammarly, even as you're writing, it will correct your sentences. Although if you listen too much, you might lose your poetic license. There are some things. Grammarly does not understand poetic license. It does not understand some words you want to use. Whisper spoke about, what did I say just now? In English, it's called nonce formations. Words that we coin. So please write, rewrite, read over, ensure coherence and fluidity. Ensure coherence. Coherence is fluidity. Coherence is everything coming together, and that is what creates fluidity and mechanics. Mechanics in English language embraces punctuation, spelling, grammar, language, literary devices, metaphors, similes. I'm talking about literary devices now, personification, oxymorons, hyperbole, there are 1,001 of literary devices, paradoxes, ironies, metonymies. Words are coming to my mind. But where I want to focus on is punctuation and spelling, grammar, your tenses. If you started with, to be on the safe side, narrate in the past tense as a beginner, as a start. I saw a combination of tenses brilliantly executed in Wrinkles by Praise Abraham. Don't be surprised I'm mentioning Praise Abraham. Every genre, everywhere I click, I see Praise Abraham. In fact, sometimes I have to jump over and say, I'm not going to read this person's story again. It's because she writes a lot. Yeah. So I saw that brilliant execution of a mixture of tenses, but very well articulated in the story titled Wrinkles. You should read that story as well. So make sure that your grammar, everything is going together. That punctuation, that spelling. In fact, I've seen advanced punctuation. Okay. Those who are using AI. Okay. When AI corrects your work, please also take the correction for yourself so that next time you can use it. Don't say, I can just do it anyhow. ChatGPT will help me arrange it. Okay. Pay attention to these things. Learn how to compare. Create mental images with literary devices. The boy was fat. He was very, very fat. Yeah, well, so what? As fat as what? The sack of Gary soaked in water. His face was round. Okay, what? As round as what? His nose was what? Like a potato? Do you want to describe the slant of his eyes and tell us he looked snake-like? Or there was something feline about him? Just give us something to connect your descriptions with. It helps a lot. I mean, someone like me. Okay, doc. Before we go to the last one, I want us to quickly explore. I want us to do some quick takes as rounding off this part. So I'm rounding off. I just want to say again that punctuations are emotional. And I want to emphasize again that speakers have the challenge, the writers have the challenge of doing what speakers do. I mean, you can hear them, you can see them, you can see body language, you can see their faces, that they are unhappy as they're talking, you can hear the inflection in their voices. A writer has to represent all of these on paper. It is not easy and it takes practice, but you need to know that punctuations are emotional. Verbs help to escalate tension. Sentence length, types of sentences can create moods. Short sentences can create a thrill. the longer ones. If the sentence is too long, in fact, those who are not used to reading might fall asleep in the midst of that very long sentence. Bad spellings affect meaning. Please and please find out the differences between the homophones, words that sound alike. They are, and their. They are, Theyare, is different from Their. And then it's also different from They apostrophe Re. And then it's different from There. There is there. If you mix, if you see why some of these things are mixed, and then To and Too, if you see where these things are mixed, and then quiet and quite, it changes meaning. Please don't take it for granted that the reader knows what you're saying. I mean, I don't know. And I apologize profusely if I see where my spelling was wrong. People will be saying, no, it doesn't matter. I know we all make mistakes and all that, but I am particular about spelling. And then remember that figurative language paints mental pictures. You need the similes, you need the metaphors. My sister is an angel. That is so much better than saying my sister is nice. What do you mean by nice? Give us something to attach to. And then realize that tenses tell the time. Tenses tell the time. Tenses are about time. And then italics are great for emphasis. When you're trying to explain a character's thoughts, you're trying to say what the character is saying, use italics. You don't need to use quote marks. In fact, go take a punctuation course. Look for apps in Google Play Store that will teach English. Some are there. There's this one I use, Elevate. If you use Elevate, your English will improve. Your mechanics will improve. And it has helped me with my punctuation. It has helped me with words, making my writing more, eliminating useless words. Verbosity, yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. It doesn't have to be verbose. The sentence is as long as from here to China. It has 15 adjectives to describe the same thing. It's not necessary. So, having said that, I want to go straight to An Incarnate of Love by Shukura. I love this story. However, Shukura, don't be offended I'm mentioning your name. Your story is beautiful. I like the concept of Akuda. Shukura has some intense storyline. Now, this is the original, copy and paste. But I highlighted the colors because I want you to note. I'm talking to myself. Are you with me? People, please talk to me. I've been talking, and my time is on my side, thankfully. Yes. All right, we are. Thank you. Value. Thank you. All right, fantastic. So here is Shukura's original beginning part of the story. Ayabola hurried into her room, rummaged through her bag, and brought out her phone. Are we supposed to see your screen, ma? What a funny question coming at this time. Ayomide, you've not been seeing my screen? Sorry, you're on your own. This is not the time to say this one. People are seeing my screen because it was right. Please let's look at what Shukra wrote. Ayabola hurried into her room, rummaged through her bag, and brought out her phone. Unlocking it, she swiped it up and clicked on Google, and her fingers danced on the keyboard, typing, what is the meaning of Akudaya? Thank you for that tip, Tiwa. Log out and log in. And the results brought out semicolon. A supernatural entity reputed to live, etc. I had to cut it. This is not bad. I particularly like the use of the word rummaged. It's a level that shows us, okay, she's just going, at least she's searching in a certain way, Then I no, I didn't do this. This is chat doing this. But whatever you get out of chat is what you put into it. I prompted it using what I wanted, and it brought out what I wanted. I changed one or two things. Now here is the suggestion. Ayobola burst into her room. Burst. That's emotion. Hurried is fine, but this person, something terrible just happened because I read the story. I would burst. She burst into her room, heart pounding like a war drum. And if this was being acted out or something, if this was a movie, I was just imagining the sound. That sound of when your heart is beating, you're watching a movie, boom, 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 boom. It will be in the background. She tore through her bag, yanking out her phone. This is not play. The emotion of what she's going through is in these words, is in these verbs. Yanking out her phone with trembling hands. You see, these are all stage directions for the person who is acting. It makes the job of the scriptwriter easier. With trembling hands, the screen glowed to life as she unlocked it in a frenzy. She was frantic. So her fingers could not have been tap dancing. Her breath shallow and quick. Swiping up, she tapped on Google, her fingers moving feverishly over the keyboard. And then to say what she typed, instead of using quote marks, rely on italics. What is the meaning of akudaya? We capitalize akudaya because we know it's not an English word. Now look at the next sentence. The search result loaded and her blood ran cold. This is a good place to say, gang, gang. That means what she saw frightened her, petrified her, froze her to the spot. Because the meaning of Akudaya is a supernatural entity reputed to live. Please go and read the story. Go and read the story. Shogora rewrites this story. Oh, it's fantastic. So you can see that, you can see how this is the beginning of the story. We want to grip the reader. This is a story that should have us sitting at the edge of our seats because we want to know what is happening next. And then I took this one from Wildfire. Praise. This is the original. It's fine. No, don't worry. I'll be leaving soon. There's no way I'll prefer staying in this hell to the paradise above. Fantastic use of that metaphor. The highest, capital letter H, tells us who it's referring to. Just gave me a chance to warn you. Promise me you'll tell Isioma and everyone else. Now there's a lot in this small excerpt to be thankful for, or to use as a good example. I just mentioned some. The use of the metaphor and then the use of highest, referring to God. You don't have to use the words exactly as they are, but I'm going somewhere. Now, the person who said this was dying, was on her deathbed. And so these words cannot flow like this. So because we want it to be emotional, in fact, I think I overused the ellipses here, but for the purpose of this explanation, we want the script writer to either put it in this way or have stage directions that can show brokenness. No, that's what ellipsis does. It trails. No, don't worry. My time is up. I won't stay. Not in this hell. Paradise waits above. The highest. He gave me this chance to warn you. Promise, promise me. You tell Isioma the trails of ellipsis and the others. Swear it! That is drama. That is drama. You see what punctuation can do. Prosper, please reload. Punctuation is emotional. Learn about the different types of punctuation. I'm still taking courses. My learning never stops. I'm still learning. Use punctuation, use your verbs to the highest you can ever, you can at any given point in time. Now, this is from me. This is a story titled Scavenger. I know what it is I could do better. In fact, as I was cutting and pasting, I said, oh, wow, why did I do that? Why I should have done that, But I'm going to use this one to pose for you. I'm going to use it to show some of the good things we're talking about. The title of the story is The Scavenger. I wrote it. My stories are short. They're flash fiction. No, they're not even fiction. They're non-fiction. I admire those who can do fiction. It's not my forte. Non-fiction, these are experiences. This actually happened. So here's what I wrote. I just survived a self-imposed ride in a Danfo, italics, showing is not an English word. If you Google it, you'll find the meaning though. But the reader needs to know that it's not English. In a Danfo. I think somewhere along the line in the story I explained what it was, but not in this paragraph. I can't begin to tell you the Aroro. I explained miserly projections that brought me to that point. But there I was, sitting at the door end of one of the rickety metal ringed wooden stakes. Okay, Danfo you get. And as you might know, Danfo know the closed door. Before I could settle in, Piam! That's onomatopoeia. We use words to represent sounds. Emotion. The bus took off like a rabbit with its tail on fire. Now, anybody who does not understand piam, piam has no meaning. Except for those who, But in case it's an Oyibo that is reading, or somebody from somewhere else, another culture, what on earth is piam? But we, Nigerian people, will know that it is piam. I now explained it. The bus took off like a rabbit with its tail on fire. Now that paints a picture. I struggled to get a grip of something, anything to steady me. In split seconds, I had to decide whether to hold on to my wig, save my bag from falling, or find a means from shielding my mouth from the bus conductor's buttocks. That's why I might have put an exclamation mark. And then I would have continued. It was almost directly in my face. But then I went and put comma, which was almost directly, who send you? Long story, long talk. Short, sharp emotions. I had to decide whether to hold on to my wig, save my bag from falling, or find a means of shielding my mouth from the bus conductor's buttocks! Exclamation mark. It was almost directly in my face. And I might have put ew. And then I put you know how they hang by the door? So funny. Italics, because, this is just an expression. And this brings us to, again, our revision of The 5 steps to being a fluid writer, we're going to look at the last one shortly. We said read so that you can learn how to write from other people. Write often. Don't depend on, don't just, because they said you want to be a commercial, you want to make money from writing. In 2 minutes, ChatGPT will write for you. Please write. Exercise your writing. Grow in it. Be inspired. Write in it. Write and grow. And then processing. Write, rewrite. Please edit your work. Revise it before you post it. That last one, that ellipsis there, is publishing. Posting is publishing. It has gone out to the world. Mechanics, your punctuation, spelling, language, blah, blah, blah. And finally, feedback. Let other people read your work. See, have a critique circle where you can get feedback for your writing before you publish it. And even after publishing it, please don't bind people. Nobody should say anything about my work. You know, in Nigeria these days, even in the world, I guess, generally, there's just this, I don't know, I find it unacceptable. It doesn't lead to growth. Everybody just wants to hear, "Oh, you, so nice." Nothing in particular. If it's nice, what is nice about it? Yes, we need to encourage one another, of course. But then that is why your critique circle is important. They will tell you the truth. They will give you feedback that will pain you. And at the end of the day, it's actually up to you. You might still like what you wrote. They might not just be getting you. You might decide to retain what you wrote. You have that authority. But then there we go. All of these things, in all of them, my focus is really on processing and mechanics. They are all very important. Processing, mechanics, hello, that makes your work stand out. And we want to go back and read it because we respect our eyes, what we are seeing and everything. And then the feedback. Please don't be too big for feedback. There was one story I wrote. I said I will not mention the story. I saw a few good things there, but I said I won't mention it because the person said, not even in a review should you talk about my story. I said, hello. So there we are. If you don't like someone's story, write your own. If you don't like what somebody says, say what it is you don't like. Please don't just trash people's writing. It takes a lot of courage to write and post out there. It took that writer some time to couple those words together. So if you say, you might have improved it by, don't just say, horrible story, blah, 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 etc. What not. Please say what it is you don't like and give recommendations. So I said I was going to give some recommended reading. These are stories I loved. There are many more, but at the end of the day, I didn't have time again to put them here. Clash of Realms, The Hook, The Isle Where She Lost Her Love, Somebody's Daddy. That's such a silly story. Oh God, no, very poor editing, very bad punctuation, everything. But there's just something about it that is relatable. Because it talks about the Nigerian police, Oga Popo. And then I liked The Investigator as well. I saw this nice blend of genre, of poetic prose there. My problem was how it ended, how it started and how it ended. I have a quarrel, but it's a good story to read at the end of the day. Because we started off with an investigator, we ended with I don't know, maybe a governor that's trying to arrange. I don't know. But it's a very good story to read. There's a repetitiveness. If you don't know that it's a style, if you don't know that, at least for me, that's the way I saw it. If you do not know that it's a strategy, you might want to wave it off. But it's a brilliant piece of writing. Investigator. It's in Acid Hot. Brilliant writers up and down. If I didn't mention your name, please don't worry. I'm reading, I'm enjoying myself. I didn't have the time to put everything on here. And I have come to the end of what I have to say from this side. So you might need to read the questions. Now, for all of these things I've said, I have backups. I call them learning cards. I made short summaries, practically everything that is here, for the people who registered. So Tiwa is going to have copies of those. And then I also have this document with resources, websites, useful websites that you can visit for figurative language, for training, short writing courses, for editing, for figurative language, just websites you could check out for yourself. And please try and download Elevate. That game I told you about, app rather, English. What is story writing? Why is SPAG important in story writing? What is the purpose of planning in story writing? Explain how to become a fluid writer. Explain mechanics. Well, are we talking about screwdrivers and bolts and nuts? What do they mean in writing? How do they contribute to fluid writing? Mention 2 areas. By now, you already know 2 areas that we need improvement at. Summary that I put right here. A bad story has disconnected events, no clear message, weak or zero conflict, and poor mechanics. We don't want to write like that. So we're saying a fluid piece of writing has connected events, a clear theme, a powerful conflict, and emotive mechanics. Thank you very much for listening. I will pause here and wait for stories. If I said stories, questions, do I really? Thank you from Teacher Prep and Storytime. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak with you, share with you. My thank you page is not showing yet. There's a thank you page. You'll wait until you see it. And meanwhile, I will be waiting. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I can see the thanks. You're welcome, Tiwa. Thank you so much, Tiwa, for this opportunity. Inarguably a wonderful step. All right. You will help me. I'm going to share a feedback form. Maybe later, maybe not now. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Auntie Tiwa. Shalom, you're back. What did you miss? Yes, you should blow your nose, oh. You missed a lot, Shalom. It was very enlightening, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am. Anyways, the little time I spent, it was beautiful. Okay, Shalom. Che is a real Che. So, guys, Kido, do you have any questions, or maybe you pass on the questions to me later? You might want to pass the questions to me later, because I have a feeling. Okay, let me show my face briefly again. Okay, my face is not showing. My face is not greasy and oily from too much talking. When I'm talking, Hey, everyone. This is Joyce Samuel from Teacher Prep. Nice to meet you all. Send your questions through Siwa, or you can post them on the platform. I'll still be available for maybe a day or 2 before I leave the platform.
Thank you so much, Ma. We really enjoyed this session. God bless you, Ma. For everyone, kindly fill the feedback form, and also, okay. So kindly fill the feedback form and also post the feedback as well on the group. As well as what else do I want to say? Aside from the feedback, read stories or Storytime, and
yes,
so you can also start publishing. You can start practicing, and I think we'll bring come to the end of this session. It's been so wonderful. Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for trusting Storytime to join the class.
And we say goodbye. Bye. I'm leaving.